Welcome to the Rhode Island Executive Office of Health and Human Services Medical Assistance Intercept System webinar, also referred to as MAIS. My name is Ann Murray, and I will serve as the moderator this afternoon. For technical assistance, please contact Citrix Global Support at 1-800-263-6317. Your questions may be submitted via the question box anytime during this webinar. We will address a few questions at the end of the presentation, time permitting. Questions that were not responded to today will be forwarded to the appropriate presenter, and you should expect to receive a written response within the next few days. On today's panel, we have three presenters. Our first presenter is Erin Casey, who is the Senior Legal Counsel in Rhode Island's Executive Office of Health and Human Services. Erin graduated from Suffolk University Law School and has been a member of the Rhode Island and Federal Bar Associations since 1989. After 20 years in private practice, including 13 years as legislative counsel to the Rhode Island General Assembly, Erin took the position as a legislative liaison officer at the Executive Office of Health and Human Services in 2009. She now serves as Senior Legal Counsel for the Executive Office of Health and Human Services and has been assigned as the Project Officer to the MAIS program. Our next presenter is Catherine O'Kelly. Catherine O'Kelly graduated magna cum laude from Northeastern University. She holds the position of Claim Search Compliance Manager with ISO Claim Search. Her responsibilities include compliance in state regulatory matters involving ISO Claim Search, the property casualty insurance industry's all-claim database. Ms. O'Kelly has 5 years of claims experience in the property casualty industry with a specialization in workers' compensation claims. Our final presenter is George French, who is the Project Director of MAIS. George has been directing the development and implementation of MAIS since the project's inception. Additionally, Mr. French is also the Project Director for the Child Support Lien Network and the author of the web-based New Hire Reporting System, currently used in Arizona, Mississippi, Ohio, Rhode Island, and the District of Columbia. He also is presently working with Rhode Island and the other CISLIN member states to implement web-based solutions for financial institution data match and real property. Prior to working with MAIS, the Child Support Lien Network, and New Hire, Mr. French served as Associate Deputy Commissioner with the Massachusetts Department of Revenue's Child Support Enforcement Division. Mr. French is a member of the National Child Support Enforcement Association and holds a Bachelor of Science in Marketing Management from Bentley College in Waltham, Massachusetts. We will now begin our presentation with the first speaker, Erin Casey.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to speak to the statutory changes in the year 2013 in the state of Rhode Island. Article 11 of the Rhode Island 2013 budget made 3 important statutory changes. There were provisions relating estate recoveries and probate proceedings, and there were also provisions relating to liens on probate property. And thirdly, in that budget article was the Medicaid Assistance, the Medical Assistance Intercept Act, and that created Chapter 27-57.1, and that's what we're speaking about today. The Insurance Intercept Act is now the Medical Assistance Intercept System, or MAIS, and that will electronically match Medicaid recipients with existing insurance claims a database, which will intercept payments of $500 or more from liability and workers' compensation insurance companies to reimburse the Medicaid program. Now, additional guidance can be found in the rules and regulations in EOHHS. Those can be found on the MAIS website, and they can also be found at the Office of Executive Health and Human Services and the Secretary of State websites. Those rules are Section 0311 in the Rhode Island Medicaid Rules and Regulations. I'm just going to briefly go through and highlight some of the sections of that chapter. Now, Section 27-57.1-1 is entitled Interception of Insurance Payments. Every domestic insurer, insurance company, and that includes self-insurers, shall, within 30 days prior to the making of a payment of $500 or more, they shall review information provided by the Executive Office of Health and Human Services indicating whether the claimant has received medical assistance. If the insurer determines that the claimant or the payee has not received medical assistance, then the insurer may make the payment to the claimant in accordance with the contract of insurance. If, however, the insurer determines that the claimant or the payee has received medical assistance, then the insurer shall withhold from payment the amount distributed for medical assistance as a result of an accident or loss, and that payment shall be made to the Executive Office of Health and Human Services and the balance to the claimant. However, claimants do have 30 days to request a hearing if they disagree. The insurers are required to wait the 30-day period, and if no hearing is requested, then payment can be made. However, if a hearing is requested, then the hearing date will be set and the payment will be withheld until the decision is made, and then payment will be made in 10 days thereafter. This section further provides notice requirements, immunity for insurance provisions, the insurer's provisions rather, and there are also provisions relating to the treatment of workers' compensation claims. The next section is 27-57.1-2. That one is entitled Notice of Interception of Insurance Settlements. That simply requires that there be notice to the Medicaid recipients. Section 27-57.1-3. That's entitled Certain Liens Not Affected. And that basically says that nothing in the chapter affects the validity or the priority of liens or written notices of healthcare providers or attorneys' fees or those holding security interests. It also does not affect the assignment of rights under Rhode Island General Laws, Section 40-6-9 or 40-6-10. Those sections relate to public assistance. This section further states that child support shall supersede any payment made pursuant to this chapter for Medicaid. Lastly is Section 27-57.1-4, and that is entitled Information to be Provided by the Executive Office of Health and Human Services. And this section explains the database and the information to be provided by EOHHS through the centralized database and includes certain very specific confidentiality provisions. And that pretty much covers the statute. And with that, I will hand it over to Catherine at ISO to do the next slide.
Thank you, Erin. I'll be speaking about ISO's involvement in this program. With the support of the trade organizations AIA and PCI, ISO has worked with Rhode Island to develop the Medicaid reporting service. A member company of ClaimSearch, who are already reporting all of their casualty bodily injury claims to the ClaimSearch database, do not need to make any changes in their reporting. However, if a company is currently using our services on the web to report their claims and they wish to move to a system-to-system reporting method, we'd be happy to help to facilitate that process. The Medicaid reporting service will be provided as a value add to the other services that ClaimSearch currently provides to their members. No additional fields are required for participation in this program outside of the normally required fields, although we are recommending that the date of birth and Social Security number are reported when they are available. Next. Participating in the Medicaid reporting service does satisfy the reporting requirement of Article 11. The legislation does provide immunity for the reporting insurer. ISO will maintain a current copy of the Medicaid recipient database. This will be updated on a daily basis. If there is a match, it will be sent to MAIS for their data quality process, and the database of Medicaid recipients will also be updated on a daily basis. The search results and matches will be sent to MAIS on a daily basis. The initial search period will date back 1 year for prior claims. And at this point, I can turn it back over to George.
Thank you, Catherine. Folks, the next slide here is going to tell us a little bit about where we are with the Medical Assistance Intercept System, MAIS. There is a website out there, I'm sure some of you may be aware, at ri-mais.com. There is some information, and this is a work-in-progress website. We're working to try to keep the general information and some information about us, as well as the law and with regards to the legislation and regulations. In meetings today, we will be posting some of the appeal process information in the very near future. And with the frequently asked questions, this is our 5th of 5 webinars. We've been gathering questions, and we'll be posting some answers to questions out on the frequently asked questions page in the days ahead. Any new news will also be available out there, so I highly recommend that you periodically check back with the website for additional information. There's contact information out there for support both with ISO and with MAIS. At this point, under members, you'll see Rhode Island. Rhode Island is the only state at this point in the program, but they plan on being the host state, much like the Child Support Lien Network. And that's one of the things that I hope is a comfort to the insurance industry, is the fact that this system and workflow is modeled after the Child Support Lien Network, which has been around now for almost 13 years. And I like to believe that we've developed a very good working relationship with ISO and the insurance industry. Like I said, there's some additional contact information out there as well. The next slide is a quick snapshot of the current website. Please note the telephone number to reach us in the top right-hand corner, 800-908-MAIS or 6247. The other couple of items I want to point out here is on the left-hand side, you have the Update Lien button and a Lookup button. The Lookup button is just like the version that we have on the Child Support Lien Network. It can be used for a quick lookup in an emergency situation. It can also be used for the smaller insurance companies that may not be indexing with ISO as a lookup. Very small volume in child support. We're expecting the same on this, but it is an option for the insurance companies. The Update Lien document, I will explain in more detail as we go through the workflow, but that will be an option for you to request an updated lien if the timeline on the lien that you have received has expired. And going into the workflow here, starting at the top left, the workflow will, again, model after the Child Support Lien Network, where the claims are indexed to ISO. So as an insurance company, once you authorize ISO to participate in this program with your claims, you don't have to do anything else. It kind of runs behind the scenes. So index your claims as you always have. They'll be, with ISO, they'll be matched against Medicaid recipients. Right now, the database that we have with Rhode Island is about 204,000 records. They'll be matched with the Medicaid recipients, and those matches will be sent to the MAIS system. Once we receive those matches, we will follow, again, a similar process like child support and do the QA. The first step of that QA will be to verify the claimant information. We do some verification and validation of the information before we even start to reach out to the insurance companies. But when we get to this point, we'll be verifying that claimant information. We're going to check to see if the status of the claim is open or closed. Ideally, the closed ones will not proceed, but the open ones will continue to go forward. Once we get claim status, we'll be asking for claim handler information, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes as well. But the idea is to streamline this process as much as possible. Where possible, we'd like to make sure that we get the lien to the appropriate location or person at your organization. So that could be centralized or at the adjuster level. And one of the key items we'd like to try to do here is find out how you would like to receive that lien document. In child support, over the years, we've really had a great migration into electronic liens, and so we just want to make sure that everybody realizes that's an option in this program as well. The other key element that we're going to be looking for as a part of the QA process is any attorney's contact information. Many of these claims will have an attorney involved, and if it wasn't supplied to us as part of the data match and information we receive from ISO, we may be asking you for that as part of the QA process. Once we have all that information and we have the fact that it's a good claim, we have all the appropriate contact information, that match will then be run up against the Medicaid system in Rhode Island, where we will pull any medical claims related to that individual. Using the data loss, we will filter down and make sure that we have identified potential medical claims that are related to the insurance claim. Doing so, we then have the option of creating a Medicaid lien, and that will be sent to the location that's been designated as part of your company's direction on the QA. When you get that lien, excuse me, it's good for 30 days, and I'll speak to that in a moment as well. The other item that will happen, and one of the things I wanted to go back to the lien again for a second is I want to try to make it clear that we're going to do everything we can to identify just medical claims that are related to the date of loss and that particular alleged injury from the insurance claim. Excuse me. The other thing is that if there is no medical claims related to that particular insurance claim, then you will receive a no lien document. Both of these documents are good for 30 days. If you're looking at this next slide here, starting at number 1 on the left, an insurance company and an attorney or both may receive a copy of a lien document. That document is good for 30 days. Upon the time that you go to close or settle the claim, you have the opportunity then to resubmit the MAIS ID number either through our website, email, fax, or phone, and we will give you an updated lien document. When we get those requests on a daily basis, we're going to run that up against the Medicaid system, see if there's any additional medical claims associated with it, and update the document accordingly. Initially, coming out of on the launch here, I think that companies should look at it, 48 to 72 hours. But our long-term objective, and I think we can do it in the next 90 days, would be to reduce that workflow to about 24 to 48 hours. So if you have a lien that's expired or a no lien document, you're ready to settle the claim, you can contact us and we'll start that process and get that document off to you as quick as possible. Going back to the QA process for 1 second, I taught you a little bit in the workflow about the items we're going to try to verify. The other thing that we're going to have here is that we're going to try to work with each of the insurance companies, much like we've done in child support, to determine which is the best way to do a QA method. As I mentioned, we're looking for the claim status, the contact information at the insurance company level, and the attorney information if available. But we're going to have variable ways to be able to do that, just like we do in child support. We can create some secure websites. We have encrypted emails, and it also can be done by phone calls, which we do every day here, all day long. So we'll be working with you to try to determine what is the best method to have minimal impact on your workflow to try to identify these matches. And remember, the only ones that are really going to come back to you are the open claims. So the next slide, just talking about the lien documents again. They're going to be a multiple page document. The front page is going to have all the relevant information, the MAISD number, the claim number, the individual they'll identify with with a truncated SSN, and all the contact information you need to deal with with Rhode Island's Medicaid, as well as reaching MAIS. So all that contact information is available on there. The second page of the lien will give you a line item detail of the medical claims that we feel are associated with that particular claim. Like I said earlier, we're going to do our best to really filter it out, and based on the alleged injury field that we get from ISO, we're going to try to really hone in on the medical claims that are clearly related to this. So you shouldn't be receiving medical claim requests for items that are not related to that insurance claim. And we're looking forward to working with the industry to try to fine-tune that and do that as best we can. The no lien document won't have any details behind it other than the cover page and so forth. But again, if you settle the claim after 30 days, you need to get an update on that. And that can be done as in the methods that I've outlined in this process. As far as participation in the timeline, this is the last of the 5 webinars. I know that the ISO organization is working on and finalizing their authorization form for insurance companies to sign up and participate in the program. I think in the next week to 10 days, you'll hear from either ISO and us as we start to launch this program and move it into a production mode. If anybody has any questions about the process, about the program, by all means, both ISO and MAIS is prepared to help you in any way that we can. But the objective is to hopefully begin the matching process within the next week to 2 weeks at the most. So anything you can do to help get us in that position, we'd very much appreciate it. The next slide here is our contact information for both ISO and MAIS, and folks are using it now, and feel free after this call, if you have any questions that we don't address at the end here, by all means, we'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'm going to turn it back over to Anne Murray at this point.
Thank you, George. We do have a few questions here. Our first question goes out to Catherine O'Kelly from ISO. Catherine, we report our claims to ISO when they are received. Do we need to resubmit the claims at the time of settlement so that we have current information?
There will be no need to resubmit claims at the time of settlement. However, if there is updated information to the claim, such as the status of the claim, whether it's opened or closed, perhaps there's new attorney involvement, so the attorney's contact name and information would be encouraged to be provided to us as an update. Again, there are no additional required fields. However, if the date of birth and social security number is available, reporting that to ISO also is helpful. If you've received a lien or a no lien document on a claimant that is also a match in the MAIS system, you will need to either resolve your claim in the 30-day time period or obtain an updated lien document or no lien document, as they do have the 30-day expiration period. I do want to take a moment to touch on some of the authorization forms that George mentioned during his presentation. We will need an authorization form from member companies of ClaimSearch in order to participate in the program. That would be in the form of a product supplement. You can contact us to request one, and we would be happy to get it out. We will have them available by the end of this week. And at this point, I could turn it back over to you, Anne.
Thank you, Catherine. Our next question is for George French from MAIS. George, how is the insurer notified by ISO if there is a match? If the information returned in the ClaimSearch match report, is the information returned in the ClaimSearch match report?
The only time that the insurance company needs to worry about a match here is when they've heard from MAIS. Quite similar to what the operation is in the Child Support Lien Network, the objective is to allow the insurance industry to use the ISO ClaimSearch system for what it was originally designed for, but at the same time provide us with the matches. Going through that QA process and eliminating any of the closed claims and so forth, or poor matches, we will minimize the impact, I hope, on the insurance industry as we have done in child support. So the only inquiry, the only spot that the insurance company ends up hearing from on a match is from MAIS when we've done our due diligence on it. And then they will receive either the lien or the no lien. If they don't have either one of those items in their possession, then they should continue with the claim process as they always have.
Thank you, George. We have time for one more final question, and this question also goes out to George. George, is there a limit on the number of MAIS accounts a company can request for lien updates?
No. This is a web-based application in a secure environment that can be accessed by as many users or remote accounts as necessary. As we've done in the child support arena as well, we do ask that companies register each individual separately and not share usernames and passwords, but each of the folks accessing the system have their own unique username and password, but there is no limit.
Thank you, George. For more information, here is the contact information, as George had mentioned, for Rhode Island, MAIS, and ISO. We did record this webinar session and will make it available on the Rhode Island Public MAIS website, ri-mais.com. We will also be posting updates and frequently asked questions periodically on the site. Encourage you to visit. Thank you for joining the Rhode Island Executive Office of Health and Human Services MAIS webinar. This concludes today's webinar.